Welcome to the second episode of Nightcap Chat, pop culture, comics, and gaming podcast. Today we talk TIE Fighter number 1, we reminisce about the MCU and past superhero movies, and talk about our biggest hopes and wants for Avengers Endgame. I'm Blade O'Neill, and today, once again, I am joined by Ken Brown, owner of Drawn to Comics.
Hey, welcome back, you guys. I greatly appreciate you having me back for our second episode.
Yes, I'm very excited. I've been looking forward to this episode for weeks now. Avengers Endgame's coming out at the end of the week. The press tour, I think, or not the press tour, the premiere is today, I think.
Really?
Today.
Worldwide, nationwide?
Yep. So it's time to start avoiding the internet spoilers.
Stay off social media. You don't want to know anything about it.
And there was already a leak of allegedly the beginning and the end. I guess we'll find out by the end of the week if that's true or not. But before we delve too deeply into the MCU and all that goodness, TIE Fighter number 1 came out. It's Marvel's first venture that's going to tie into Del Rey's upcoming novel Alphabet Squadron.
Yes, I knew nothing about the Alphabet Squadron. You obviously can enlighten me more about the Alphabet Squadron.
That novel's not out yet, so I mean, I guess we're all about to go on this journey.
All right, dude. I guess pretty much what it is that it is a prequel for the book when it comes out, and it deals from the TIE Fighter point of view, rather than obviously we see so much stuff from the Rebels X-Wing fighter squadrons and Rogue Squadron. We've always been conditioned to more or less know the political point of view from the rebellion.
Yes.
And this delves a little bit more into the Republic point of view of the fact that they see the rebels as, oh, these guys, these terrorists that have separated themselves from our way of government that we've been so successful with for years.
Yep.
And they're ruining our way of life. And I've always been like, obviously influenced by the George Lucas movies to the T of where the rebels are right. And God, those evil empire are just more or less just trying to enforce their evil will on everybody. And luckily we have these Jedi and these rebels that are going to put politics back on the right path.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting to see that there is now, I said too, I've been exposed to in the past. Like you told me, there's some other books that have been focused on more or less the soldiers of the Republic's point of view, and about how not everything's all quite rosy on their control over their people and their soldiers.
Yeah, one of the most interesting things, like when there have been books or stories that, especially the Disney stories have put out, is when you're doing it from the point of view of the quote villains of the main trilogy, like nobody goes out there and like, I'm going to be evil.
Exactly.
You know, like that's not your personal motive. I mean, maybe there's a handful of people in the world, but anyway, I digress. Like Thrawn, for example. Thrawn had his own reasons for joining the Empire. He wanted to protect the Chiss, his people, because early on he discovered that the Empire was building a Death Star and how crazy that is, and he just wanted to make sure like his people were safe, and he gave them access to his tactical abilities and skills. And in Battlefront 2, which, skimming through this TIE Fighter book, very similar in the fact that there's a TIE pilot, and they're kind of struggling with, what's right and wrong. Because like you said initially, Iden Versio, she was there when the first Death Star was destroyed, and she was out there fighting, and it kind of knocked her ship, but she obviously survived. But to her, it was a terrorist attack, and all of her coworkers and stuff, died, killed millions. It was a terrible thing. It wasn't until later that she started, questioning, what was right and wrong. I think Alderaan blowing up was kind of part of that too. Like, what separates us now from the terrorists?
Yes, they did mention, I think if I remember correctly, reading this, there was a similar type of thing here with these TIE Fighter pilots too.
And that would make sense that kind of causes a rift in your organization, because like, at what point are you the bad guys? When does, two rights make a wrong?
Exactly.
Or vice versa.
Yes, dude, but it's the art's really good in it. I've been pretty impressed. Jolene Hauser is writing it, which she's a very, very good writer.
Yep, and she also wrote the Thrawn, I think, adaptation. Yeah, she wrote the Thrawn adaptation of the Thrawn novels.
Oh, really? Okay, that's cool. So she's really depth into the Star Wars mythology, which is really kind of cool. They've been doing great writers since they've started. I mean, Jason Aaron, Karen Gillan. I mean, they've been really putting in top-notch writers into writing these Star Wars
Writers and
comics
artists too, I'd argue.
Yes, it's like a flagship. They've made Star Wars a flagship line at Marvel, and it's everything I've been reading. I got to admit, dude, has been enjoyable. I have not been disappointed by many things.
And speaking of the Marvel comics, this is a big week for Marvel.
Yes,
arguably the end of what's kind of almost turned the company around.
Oh, absolutely. And I said too, is like that. It's hard to believe that Iron Man started this 10-year journey?
11 year
journey, because last year was the 10, right? Yeah.
Because 2008 was when Iron Man came out.
And it's just 21 movies. Is that what we've had up
21 or 22, I think.
22 movies and like pretty much 2 a year then. It's, oh my gosh, dude, I can't believe this is it. That's the thing too. I'm kind of going, this is the wrap of the trilogy, the 3 stages, I guess. Instead of trilogy, they did stages on the Marvel movies.
Even 15 years ago, I don't think we would ever have imagined getting an Infinity Gauntlet movie, first of all.
Yes.
And if we ever did get an Infinity Gauntlet movie, one that actually tied into a Captain America movie and an Iron Man movie and a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and then have almost all the actors reprise their roles except for 2.
Yes, we used to be excited about the X-Men movies that we get. I thought, oh my gosh, I can't wait for the next X-Men movie. And those were nothing compared to what they've built as kind of like a comic book to a T storytell.
Yeah.
Because comic books are episodic. They used to be episodic, and then it became serialistic. And now this movie is a comic book come to life. They're serialistic. To be continued next movie. To be continued next issue. And it's just the extra credit scenes they've had laying in the background.
And that was right off the bat too.
Yes. And that's, it's awesome seeing, like, at the end of the Iron Man movie, we get to see Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury for the first time. And we're going, oh dude, one minute of Nick Fury and we're hook, line, and sinker. This is the ultimates come to life.
And not just Nick Fury. I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative.
Yes.
Like, what? Like, what is happening?
And then going all the way through, and then the second to last movie, they revealed where the Avengers Initiative name came from was Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I didn't
Carol
care
Danvers. But it was kind of cool like that. How, you know what I mean? Like they're tying up all their loose ends.
Yeah,
and they're explaining everything. That's why I can't wait for this Endgame, because it's got the appropriate name, dude. This is it. This is how we tie up this 11 years of storytelling for you.
Yeah, it's been,
and it's like a 12-issue maxi series of Secret Wars. Do you know what I mean? It's like it started off at the start of the year back in, once again, I'm going to date myself, back in 1984. Yeah. It started in January and it ended in January of the next year.
Yeah.
And you were like on board for that whole story. And then it's like, how is this going to end? What's this Beyonder? Do you know what I mean? What's he going to do with all these superheroes? And seeing Doom get the Beyonder power at the end and obliterate everybody. And then the Beyonder says, I need that power back. And do you know what I mean? And then Doom is like pissed at him. Like, oh man, I won. But then, it's like that. No, this guy's too corrupt. And it was just, you were just kind of like, wow, everybody goes home and everybody has these great adventures to tell that were starting 12 months earlier in the regular comics. You had to read Secret Wars to see what happened. And it was just, that's kind of how these movies have felt to me. It's like that. This buildup is great, and now it's coming to that final issue, and you don't want to see it end in some ways. In other ways, you're kind of going, oh my gosh, dude, this is freaking like, this is what the wait's been building up for.
Yeah.
How are they going to beat Thanos? Thanos won. Same thing after Secret Wars number 11, dude. Dr. Doom blew up everybody. I'm going, holy mackerel, dude. What is going on here? It's like, how are the superheroes going to come back from this? And then, the Beyonder helped out almost like a snap in a way, brought back all the superheroes, and they fought to victory. And so this is gonna be like similar thing too, is like how, after the snap in this last Avengers Infinity War, are they going to come back from this? And that's going to be, that's why they're the Avengers. That's why they're superheroes. Is like, you got to find out, how are they going to pull this one out?
And, and this could easily have failed. Like they didn't know how well Iron Man was going to do. That was a little indie film. Like they got Jon Favreau to direct it. And then that after the credits scene was almost an afterthought from what I understand. They just thought it would be cool. And then everyone got excited about it. Iron Man did well at the box office. Yes. And then we got movies like Captain America and Thor. And Captain America, in my opinion, is still one of the best MCU movies. I know a lot of people don't consider it favorite, but it's definitely one of my favorite.
But with the Iron Man thing that was genius is they used a comic artist, Adi Granov, to design the armor for the movie.
Yes.
And Adi Granov hit it nails, making it come off the comic page onto the movie where all of us comic book fans are going, holy crap, dude, this doesn't look generic. This doesn't look fake. This doesn't look an Iron Man.
Yep.
This is our Iron Man moving in motion for us. Full armored out. Robert Downey Jr., the guy that was at the end of his acting career because he couldn't stay out of chemicals. And ironically, Tony Stark had his alcohol problem too as well, which fit perfectly for Robert Downey Jr.'s relation to Tony Stark as a character.
Yep.
And it was like he was cut out of a cloth, saying this is Tony Stark come to life. And it was just, how do you make something that's never been done? I mean, the great thing about the X-Men movies where they were, they were really good at getting likenesses.
Yep.
But, with all due respect, dude, Wolverine's 5'3", 5'4". Hugh Jackman's like 6'5" badass.
Yep.
And it worked. They said, oh my God, Wolverine's perfect. But then you get Robert Downey Jr., who is Tony Stark in his real life almost, except he's not an inventor.
Yeah.
But, multimillionaire and has had personal issues that he's had to deal with. And the armor looking like it came out of the comic, and the scenes didn't look CGI to me very much, which is unfortunately why the problem with Aquaman is like that. The Aquaman CGI in that opening scene where they had the Halo looking Atlanteans coming to attack, Aquaman's parents' house. I felt like that I was watching a video game happening in a live action movie. And I'm going, dude, this is two mixed mediums. But when you're watching Iron Man or Thor or Captain America, I never felt that they chinsed out on any of the special effects and not make you think that this is actually, you're watching like a news report rather than a movie.
It was also perfect timing, I think, because in the beginning of the modern superhero movie, if you will, I would argue the first one was Blade. Now, what is Blade? Blade's a vampire hunter. So he's not like a superhero in tights. He's touching subject matter that audiences were already familiar with. It was just vampire hunter. Very simple and easy for the general audience to accept. And for the time, like, it was good. The Blade 1 special effects don't stand up now, but for what they were good movies.
Yes.
So what was the next step from there? It was
the
X-Men. Right? Now, this would be tights and stuff, but they just opted for black.
They try to make it as realistic looking as possible.
Yes, and they were afraid to make the step until Spider-Man. Like, okay, now I think it was 2001, I think.
2002.
They had him in a costume. They still had some changes, but for the most part, like, that was pretty good. It looked
like Spider-Man on screen for the first time.
And for the time, once again, like, it was great.
Yes.
The Green Goblin was a little weird, but William Dafoe was awesome.
Yes. Oh, he did awesome acting in that.
And then, of course, perpetuated to some other movies, Daredevil. I think the Punisher movie failed. Even like I thought the Tom Jane Punisher was underrated.
Yeah.
I actually watched that several times, and the director's cut of Daredevil is so much more interesting.
Yes, so that court scene makes all the difference.
The whole subplot with is it Coolio?
Yes, dude, it was so. I said too, it was like you just see more or less the in-depth of what was going on behind the scene of how much control Kingpin had.
Yeah, and Michael Clark Duncan was fantastic.
Absolutely.
And I could not imagine another actor in it until Vincent D'Onofrio came in, and wow, he was fantastic.
Yeah, he's one of those guys like Robert Downey Jr. He was cut to be
unbelievable.
The Kingpin. Yes,
unbelievable.
Dude. And you believed he was the Kingpin of Hell's Kitchen.
So by the time 2008 rolled around, I mean, Marvel Studios was just a little independent thing, and they took this chance, and the payoff was unbelievable.
Absolutely. I mean, I said too, it was like Jon Favreau, I said too, it was like that. He laid that groundwork that was just so, man, dude, I can't explain like that. Did they have this whole 21, 22 movie plan from the start? It's just they kept on building on it because they had Thanos appear pretty early at the end of Avengers.
They
right?
did. I think they were only. I think after Iron
2.
Man, they started to plan certain things.
Okay.
Because Captain America introduced the Cosmic Cube, which they turned to the Tesseract. That was not revealed to be an Infinity Stone until I think it was Thor: The Dark World, after the credits scene when they handed the ether over to the Collector, and they said the Tesseract is already in Asgard. It would be unwise to have two Infinity Stones so close together.
Nice.
Yes. That was a hard pill for me to swallow.
Yes, because I can imagine, dude. It's like that. Are they really going this route towards the Infinity Gauntlet?
Well, I was more concerned. I was like, why is the Cosmic Cube an Infinity Stone? Because it's not in the comics.
Yes.
It's its own thing. Like, I don't like. I appreciate everything they've done, but I just thought like it's okay for there to be one more powerful, like more than one object that's like really powerful, and just have the Infinity Stones be like that ultimate cosmic power.
And then having it be something else where it came out of something else. He's kind of going, okay, it's like
Yeah.
they're trying to give, I guess, explanation to the fact of like that. Hey, that's why these other things had so much powers because they were Infinity Stone developed, and I can see how that sucks because it is something like that. You should have the Tesseract, you know, be in the Cosmic Cube, be its own thing. Because Tesseract was supposed to be the Cosmic Cube, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And it's like, no, we can't go the Cosmic Cube route. That's, you know, way too powerful. We have to almost lower it down to be a gem type of thing powering it. Because the Cosmic Cube's a whole other
it's a complicated thing because if I remember during the Cosmic Cube event or whatever you call it, when Thanos had it, and Captain Marvel was going after him. Was it one of the other characters? Like that person was also a Cosmic Cube, like the Beyonder was a Cosmic Cube or something like that. I'm trying to remember.
I remember on that too as well. I know like the Beyonder is like that. They tried doing during the Hickman line where the Beyonder was part of a group of Beyonders. Like that there's like a multiple Beyonders, which I was going, okay, I guess that's a way to explain why the one in Secret Wars died, Secret Wars 2. But like, oh, you're not the, you know, he's not the only Beyonder, which I thought was okay. Let's change the whole outlook of what a Beyonder is too. And I thought the Beyonder was like a one and only when they first created him. It's like, oh, maybe there is more than one Beyonder. But
I guess the point is the Cosmic Cube story was sure probably a little complicated to transfer exactly, but I will give them credit because it was Avengers 1 now was a really interesting way of not doing Thanos twice as like a major villain, but still having him almost involved in this Cosmic Cube story, but he's just pulling the strings with Loki. So like that was kind of neat to still have that kind of a reference and then still do the Infinity Gauntlet and not have it be like, oh, I'm so sick of seeing Thanos.
So technically were the Shanti, what are they, the Shanti, the aliens that attacked in Avengers? Chitauri, my apologies to Chitauri. That attacked in Avengers, was that just Thanos more or less testing the will of the humans before trying to take over? Or was he just trying to find a gem at that moment too as well?
Well,
because that was something that's like questions I always wondered, like in the back of my head, how were those answered? Was he?
I don't think it was a test. I think it was supposed to work.
Yes.
And he wanted to get when now we know it was the Space Stone, but he gave Loki, we also now know, the Mind Stone to do it. So obviously he was going to take the scepter back, right? Because he needs all the Infinity Stones.
Yes.
So he gambled one of his stones to, he gambled one in order to get two. And the Chitauri Oracle or whatever, humans are not the, whatever that we were promised. They're unruly and whatever, to challenge them is to court death, which I'm really upset that has not been brought back around.
Yes. That's what I said too, is like that. I kind of want to go rewatch everything again because I feel like if I see everything again, it's going to make so much more sense leading up to what I'm going to watch in Endgame next week. Because like there were so many carrots given this whole way through. Yep. And I said too, it's cool that there's, one or two every year, but like it's 11 years later now. And you kind of want to see like that, everything they laid out. Because I said too, is like, even though they didn't have the complete plan, they were, even the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the TV series. I mean, did you see the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episodes where after the realm of Thor was destroyed, they were finding artifacts?
I did not. I think that was after I stopped watching.
Okay. And it was cool. In Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they were finding artifacts from Asgard. In different parts of Midgard. Yeah. And I was going, oh my gosh, dude, this is cool because this is connecting back into the Thor movie. And then the whole thing too, it's like the episode that led right into the Winter Soldier movie.
Yes.
Where Nick
those
Fury's,
were fun.
Yes, dude. I'm going, oh my gosh, dude, I got to watch everything. And it's cool because there's little Easter eggs everywhere that are connecting. And that was the brilliance of Disney not only doing this in the theaters, they were doing this on ABC every week for about 6 years too as well. So there was never a lack of material being presented that was loosely connected. Like technically Deathlock is still out there, right?
He,
He's part of the
he
MCU
absolutely
universe.
is. And
the Ghost Rider is still out there in the MCU universe.
He absolutely is.
Imagine if he shows up in Deathlock and Ghost Rider, all these
I would
people that
love
were in the
for
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Ghost Rider to show up.
Yeah, you would hate that?
Oh, I would love it.
Oh, okay, I'd love that too. Because
I love Ghost Rider.
Yeah, dude, that was epic. And that was cool seeing that. Like, they didn't chintz out on the Ghost Rider. It says, oh man, that was lame. I go, no, dude, they turned a Dodge Charger into a flaming monster mobile. That was freaking epic.
I'm a Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider guy, but at first I was like, man, they started with Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider. Like, he didn't come around until like 2014.
Yes.
But then until I saw that little cameo, I was like, okay, it's okay cool. Now. It's okay now. As long as he did exist first, like that's all I really wanted.
Yes.
And now there's plenty of room to actually do it. And you know what? No one sees him running around because he's doing these secret things with like demons at night. And it's a whole different set of dealings than anything the Avengers or S.H.I.E.L.D. is worried about or would, I mean, it'd probably be hard to believe, but maybe not at this point.
Yeah, and the ground levelness of it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the Netflix shows. I mean, all this stuff's taking place in the same universe. I mean, I don't think we're going to see this inside of Endgame, but imagine if you have John Barenthal Punisher show up.
I would be
you know, like that Daredevil showing up.
I was honestly expecting one Elektra. Scene in Infinity War
where everybody was there.
We're just dealing with the snap.
Yeah, and the snap wasn't dealt with on any of the Netflix shows.
It wasn't.
That was kind of an interesting twist too. I'm going like, okay, is there any fallout of the snap on those Netflix?
And I was almost expecting it, like shows? At the end of Punisher 2, season 2, and just all of them, I guess. Just like all of a sudden somebody disintegrates.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. It's like, oh my gosh, they're touching back to the movies again, and it's going to be fun to see like that. What surprises are we going to get in Endgame that nobody's expecting?
Yeah, well, I think it was Kevin Feige who said, you know, and it's evident with the Infinity War trailers, like there's so much CGI in these movies, you can manipulate the trailers to be whatever you need to show without spoiling anything. And I think that's awesome. Amazing. Yes. And he said that since he saw Empire Strikes Back in the movie theaters, like it was just a surprise. Like, oh my gosh, Darth Vader's his father. And he said he wanted that to be this. So he wanted that in Endgame to be like just so surprising. Like for that, like I got chills right now. Like I'm so excited to see like what could possibly happen in Endgame.
Yes.
And how obviously they're not going to resolve it the same way the comic books were resolved at this point, because there's already things that aren't in place.
Its own direction, kind of like Walking Dead TV series versus Walking Dead comics.
Yeah. I mean, that's a similar comparison, but I mean, to me, there was still enough elements that it worked for doing the MCU version of Infinity War, but there was still enough in there like, wow, like we still had the snap, there was still half the universe. You know, you had Doctor Strange, you had the Hulk falling into Doctor Strange's manor instead of the Silver Surfer, which is fine, but it was still a nice
interchangeable elements.
Yeah, then that's fine.
Yes.
And even one of my favorite things was the way Thanos like took Nebula apart.
Yes. Oh my gosh, dude.
That was kind of a reference to like what he did to Nebula in the Infinity Gauntlet story as like a tribute to death. And I'm wondering, and this is one of my wants, as I'm wondering, are we being set up for Nebula? This is all I just want to say, pure speculation and theories based on the comics. This is in no way a spoiler, but I want Nebula to take the gauntlet, to be the first one to take the gauntlet from Thanos.
Wow. Do you even think about the whole death aspect of it? Imagine if what we're missing in this whole thing is death coming to Thanos.
You have no idea how excited that would make me.
Oh my gosh, dude. And saying like that, thank you.
Yep.
It's like, what are you talking about? Thank you. You just gave me 1 billion souls because of your wanting to make the universe a better space. And it's kind of like, what do you mean? It's like that. I'm just trying to make the world better for more. It's like, oh yeah, there's death happens so much easier than life. Mm-hmm. And, you know, he's kind of going like that. So I just, you know, he starts thinking to himself, I just created a hole in the universe that's never going to be able to be replenished in his lifetime. And is Thanos maybe eternal? Do you know what I mean? That's the thing too, is I guess Thanos kind of never ending. Do you know what I mean? Is that what we're going to find out about Thanos?
I'm not 100% sure what the deal with his race of people is.
He created this whole fix for the whole universe of trying to more or less keep it under control and not over exhausted. But by doing so, the universe may not recreate. Do you know what I mean? He may have caused something that's irreversible and not better for the universe, but punishment to the universe.
I think,
do you know what I mean? And he started going, I'm not trying to do this to be, because if you look at Thanos at the end of that movie, he was at peace of doing something good in his heart.
he believed what he was doing was right. It was mercy.
And then Death's telling him that, first of all, he falls in love with Death in the comics.
It was his whole reason for doing it.
And second of all, maybe Death is like, that's something like that. You're cursed. You're never going to be with me. All these other people get to be with me. And the only way that he can more or less, do you know what I mean? Like there's the heroes are always going to save the day, but Thanos might have an inflection on himself of going, wow, dude, I actually didn't think this through. But I don't think they're going to go that route, obviously, because it's just, there's too many other like aspects to this movie of them. The heroes need to be the heroes, not Thanos rethinking
exactly
himself.
And then like now the Avengers don't get to save the day. It's just, oh, Thanos like, oops, I messed up, my bad, and now everything has just been for nothing.
Yeah, that's kind of weak. So I said too, but the Thanos death aspect is something that is so important.
It was
to Thanos as a character.
Absolutely.
And is death going to come in and play a role somehow?
I would
with
love that.
Thanos.
That aspect has always been like one of my favorites in the comics, and like I've kind of played getting a death tattoo because of how much she's been involved with Thanos. She's been involved with Deadpool, and it just kind of represents, all of those things. But Thanos' whole reason for the snap was because of his love of death, because he thought it was an atrocity that there are more people living now than have ever died. Okay. And that's why he wanted to do it. Now, having that as part of his motivation clears up the one little hole of the snap that I would argue is there in the movie version. Was like, instead of just killing half the universe, why didn't he just double all the resources?
Oh, good point.
So if there was actually that love of death on top of that, I don't know, maybe is that too much? Is that too many reasons to be motivated? But I would think if in Endgame Death came to him for destroying half the universe, because like she would realize what happened. Like all of a sudden half of everything is dead. Why wouldn't she come to him like and she might be fascinated with him.
Yeah, it's like that you created all this death, which is like a dream to me type of thing. I said too is like that's her whole, she's the Grim Reaper. Yeah. You know what I mean? She's the bringer of death, and someone else brought death quicker than she ever could.
Yeah.
Because everything she's got to wait for is natural causes, but these gems can give her power or not give her power, but create something that's more powerful than the force of nature.
She's one of the cosmic beings, and we have not really had many adventures with them yet in the MCU. Yes. But I think off the top of my head, I think they've only referenced the Living Tribunal.
Okay.
Right? I mean, I can't think of anything else being referenced in the MCU.
Was that in the last Avengers movie?
No, in Doctor Strange when he's sparring with
Dormammu.
When Doctor Strange is sparring with Baron Mordo. They're talking about the relics, and he says the staff of the Living Tribunal. Yes. Like when he said that, like I got really excited.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's such a cool character. I wonder, are these Easter eggs to set up some cosmic beings in the future? Are we going to get a big cosmic being battle in the end of Endgame?
Well, there's possible that the birdseed's going to be laid at the end of the movie. And I guess from what I understand, I don't know how true this is, but there's no extra credit scenes at the end of this movie.
Really?
Yes, and that kind of surprised me a little bit because, as I said too, is like there's been rumors that the Eternals are the next stage.
Yes.
And the Eternals are all gods.
Yes.
In a way. And so if Thanos is playing God, is he going to upset the real gods that are going to side with the Avengers here? Just speculation again, but like that, it's like Thanos has no idea what he just upset by changing the structure of how the universe works. And I said too, it's like Thanos is playing God, but he's not a god.
Yep.
He's just got the abilities to play God. So when you start awakening, as you said too, the Living Tribunal, the Celestials, do you know what I mean? The Eternity, we saw in the comics, Donny Cates had Thanos and Cosmic Ghost Rider team up to destroy Galactus. So, do you know what I mean? There is that precedence that Thanos has learned how to kill forces of nature, like Galactus.
I believe Galactus shows up for that final fight in Infinity Gauntlet too. Galactus and everyone, most of those cosmic beings and elders of the universe, I think, showed up at the end. except for the Living Tribunal, who is just so beyond it, he could not be bothered.
Yes. We don't need to deal with this. They'll figure it out. But it's just like that when, the difference of being a god and playing God has got to be touched on at some point in this. Because if he can figure out how to manipulate the gems, and as I said too, there's all kinds of rumors flying around the internet. It's Carol Danvers, I think, is the linchpin to everything on this.
Interesting.
And I hate saying that because she's such a late player in the game.
Yeah.
But her power is a gem.
Absolutely.
She got her powers from the explosion of a gem. So she more or less cloned the ability of a gem.
Mm-hmm.
So if that can be happened, is there other things that have cloned gem type abilities around the Marvel universe that they have to assemble to kind of create their own Infinity Gauntlet?
Well, the experiments of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch happened when Hydra was experimenting with the Mind Stone, and unlocked, their possibly mutant powers.
So they may have it inside of themselves,
possibly.
Too. So these Avengers, the last Avengers, they couldn't be destroyed because they had elements of the gems inside themselves.
And we saw Scarlet Witch is so...
Captain America, the time gem, if you think about it, because he was frozen. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just things in there. Like, are there elements to each of the surviving Avengers that duplicate the abilities of the stones that are inside of themselves, and that's why they weren't affected by the snap?
I wonder if Doctor Strange's magic could have anything to do with it, even though he dissolved. But I mean, we also saw Scarlet Witch was so insanely powerful that she was able to destroy an Infinity Stone, which it's just so ridiculously, insanely powerful if you think about it.
Like Iron Man, the Knowledge Stone, maybe. Do you know what I mean? Who knows? It's like that. He's just such a genius when it comes to creating. Yeah, so too is like that with War Machine. I don't know, like what would War Machines, do any of the surviving Avengers have elements? Because Captain Marvel obviously does. Because Carol's got the...
Well, how insanely powerful is Thor now? He's found his potential and has the Odin power, and Thor is so much more powerful now than he was.
So is he the power gem?
I mean...
Do you know what I mean? It's like, does he have the ability of the power gem now? And, like the reality gem? I don't know who would be the reality gem side of things.
That's alive? Man, I have no idea, because Doctor Strange and...
Maybe the Hulk, because he can
Scarlet
switch
Witch are
back and
dead.
forth between realities himself and Banner. Do you know what I mean? Because that's the thing, too, the big speculation that they keep on certain comic books, once again going back to the comic book world, is like they're rising in value based off of what they think is going to happen in the movie.
Interesting.
And Hulk 377 has jumped up. That's a Peter David Del Keown issue, where Doc Samson helped Banner and the Hulk merge of minds where they could coexist with each other.
That's right.
And that was the first time that officially happened, where Banner wasn't separated out of the Hulk. And, Banner and Hulk were both equally, okay, let's get on the same page with each other and be the Hulk with Banner's intelligence.
Interesting.
And that's what they're saying is going to happen in this next movie, is like they're finally, hey, for survival reasons, we need to make our reality one rather than two separate egos.
Doc Samson exists in the MCU, and he's never been brought back around, and neither has the leader.
Yeah, he's something too. Like maybe Doc Samson's going to come into play here again. And there's so many characters that have been introduced, but we may have forgotten about, but they're still part of this universe.
I still can't believe we haven't got a leader story yet.
Yes.
After that,
that was epic on the end of that setup on there. And so there's like, this is the end game. This is supposed to, like, all the loose ends are supposed to be tied up. And what are we going to see here? That I said too, that they're not giving us any birdseed on that, except the cool action scenes. The fact of them, walking in their space suits, they're going to go up into space.
But really, like, those trailers showed nothing, but I love that.
Yes.
It's like the exact opposite of a trailer like Batman versus Superman, where I felt I saw the whole entire movie.
Anything in the movie.
No,
yes.
I don't.
That's why I'm a big fan of. I shouldn't say this. DC movies are they're needed, but they don't keep anything a secret in DC movie trailers.
I'm really rooting for them, because like they shouldn't have an issue. They have all the rights to their characters, and I think they're just too afraid to look like they're copying Marvel, when they should just, like, sure, it's okay to make the little, the bird seeds of little introductions of characters, but like just focus on making some good movies. You've got some great characters. Worry about tying them in later.
Yes.
It'll be
don't
okay.
feel like you're in a race. Just do your own thing.
Yeah. It'll be fine. I mean, so many studios are trying this formula, and whether or not it's working, it doesn't always, and that proves, it's not easy. Like I think they tried to start a monster universe with that Mummy movie because there were plans to tie them all together to do whatever. I don't even know what the.
Yeah, DC kind of reminds me of Coca-Cola.
Okay,
there was a point in the 1980s where unfortunately the Pepsi Challenge was winning.
Oh.
And Coca-Cola decided we need to do a new formula. And what did it taste like? It tastes like Pepsi. And what that did was it pissed off all the Coca-Cola fans, where they eventually had Coca-Cola Classic come out within the next year.
Interesting.
And then eventually New Coke was a thing because Coke fans didn't like Pepsi.
Huh.
And so the same thing's going on here with the DC universe. It's like when Superman was out, we thought it was good. Do you know what I mean? The Superman trilogy, 3 and 4 with the Richard Pryor, and then, the nuclear boy that was in Superman 4 kind of fell off the wagon. But Timothy Burton's Batmans were good.
Yep.
But then when Joel Schumacher took it over, it's like he didn't pay any attention to what Tim Burton was doing.
Yeah.
And let's make it terrible again. And that had nothing to do with any Marvel movies or anything like that. But the wheels fell off the wagon. And I think right now DC's trying to do their Coke Pepsi thing. It's like that. Wow, dude, it's like that. Our movies and our characters aren't working the way that we want to tell the stories, because what we saw in Green Lantern, unfortunately, people thought was a debacle.
Yeah.
And that was their first shot at it.
They tried to do too much.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. You can't have 3 movies in one movie. And that's why I think something with like a lot of DC movies, they want to explain so much because they have so much history.
Yeah.
In fact, they have like another, I think, 25 to 30 years on Marvel history that they always try to explain in one movie for their characters. Like you don't see everything about Spider-Man's history in one movie. You didn't see everything about the Hulk's history in one movie. You didn't see everything about like Wolverine in the Wolverine movie. They give you
that was a
bit.
very slow start.
They do snapshots of the characters and then let this character build itself. Like when you saw the Batman movie, do you know what I mean? And the one that I think was good were the, Christian Bale. Who was the producer of those?
Oh, Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan did a pretty good job because in that first movie, you had the origin of Batman with Ra's al Ghul being the big spoiler of being the guy that actually trained Batman. But then in the next movie with the Joker, just focused on Batman and the Joker.
Yep.
They didn't have, a ton of other villains in there. It was just the
Joel
crime
Schumacher
lords and Joker.
Yes.
Yeah, dude. And then in the Bane movie, it was, it was kind of fell off the wheels a little bit. I don't quite understand. I think it's because they had to change the script because Heath Ledger died. And Joker was, kind of supposed to be a major part of that third movie. Like, let's just go with No Man's Land and hope that works as the story, because that's what it felt like that last Batman movie with Bane was. It was kind of a take on No Man's Land. But you could still pinpoint one story in those.
Yep.
And I think that's why Christopher Nolan's Batman franchise works so well. You know what I mean? And the new Superman movie, I think it did a pretty good job of, okay, let's just make Lex Luthor the villain. And then wasn't Luthor the villain in the Superman movie? Or was he the Superman Batman movie? He was the villain.
Batman Superman was Zod.
Yeah,
they did
right.
Zod again.
Yeah, Zod again, which was still just one group of villains.
Yes.
For the Superman movie, for the whole script. Superman versus Batman, you had Luthor and Doomsday, which was just a throw-in because they wanted to kill Superman at the end of the movie. You didn't need to do that. Nope. That's why they started falling off the wagon again. It's like, dude, don't do too much. Plus, we got to introduce Wonder Woman, too. Let's make sure we have Wonder Woman in there because we got to have the Wonder Woman movie. But the Wonder Woman movie was great because it only fit with one story. It had one solid story all the way through, and I think that's why Wonder Woman worked.
Yes.
But then with, Aquaman, they had 3 different stories. Felt like it was going on in there, too. It's like that. It's his mom's story. It's his story. It's Mira's story. It's the government story. It's like you're all over the place, dude. Let's just get Aquaman on the board and then deal with all that. It's Black Manta's story.
Yeah.
It's Ocean Master's story. It's like, dude, like slow down, DC. Like let us kind of absorb this character. Like the same movie, it's like that. He was like the man's man, but then all of a sudden he's in an underwater ocean chase and he's screaming like a little girl.
Yeah.
It's like, don't like build up a character that we get to know, not just kind of be confused of like, what are we seeing after this? The Flash was absolutely the worst in the JLA. I hate saying that too. Did you see The Flash? Did you like The Flash in Justice League?
I haven't seen Justice League.
Yeah, they tried. They tried making The Flash. I apologize. I'm going on my Ken Brown rant right now, so please bear with me. If you loved all this stuff, more power to you. I just wish DC would slow down and develop their characters for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why Wonder Woman was such genius, because it was a slow down. Let's develop her from being an Amazon princess into trying to simulate to be a human being in America. and try to figure out like what's best for the world. I am a person that is going to help protect this world, and here's why it needs protection, because she saw war. She's part of World War I, which was brilliant, rather than being World War II, because everybody knows World War II. That's Captain America's movie.
Yeah.
Everybody said, "Oh, this is just Captain America's woman." I go, "No, dude, this was Wonder Woman, World War I, dealing with what is coming and the way that the countries are interacting with trying to become mass powers."
And you know what?
And it was really kind of cool to see that take on that too.
And unless I missed it in the trailers, like I was shocked that Ares was in the movie.
Yes.
And that's the complete opposite of Batman versus Superman, where you knew Lex Luthor and
You knew Doomsday was gonna show up.
That would have been a reveal at the end. But like I had no idea Ares was going to be in Wonder Woman. And just when they talked about Ares in the prologue, I was like, oh, how cool. Like maybe they'll do Ares one day because he's really powerful in the DC comics. And then I didn't realize the whole movie she's going to be going after Ares. And then we got to see Ares at the end. Like I was so excited.
Yep, and he was there as a character the whole time.
Yeah.
And it was like something like it was a reveal that was executed properly. Kind of like so too, going back to it was a reveal that some people may have seen coming, but you know, the whole thing of like that, unfortunately, there's the reverse way in Star Wars, like the Emperor Palpatine. Once we saw Phantom Menace, we knew that Senator Palpatine was going to become Emperor Palpatine, but we still enjoyed it. It was executed well. With that, we didn't see that coming, but unless you were really, after you saw it, said, oh, dude, the Easter eggs were there the whole time. Like that, the way that he kind of manipulated scenes behind there, he was almost like a Palpatine that was revealed properly.
Yeah. There were still things, you know, you didn't know, like, is Darth Maul going to be around for 3 movies? Nope, he died.
Exactly. And Star Wars, that's true too. I thought Maul was going to be up for all 3 movies. I thought he was going to be the person that Anakin finally defeated. That was the most powerful Sith that he was going to have problems with for 3 movies, kind of like with Luke, you know, against Vader. Vader was the main antagonist for the 4, 5, and 6. And then at the end, Luke overcame. Same way that Anakin was going to overcome against Darth Maul, but they threw that out the window away.
But luckily they brought Darth Maul back.
Yes.
You know, and has some great stories and content with there.
And I apologize. I was going off. Just real quick. I apologize with the Flash real quick, which kind of bothered me so much. In the Justice League, they made him the young, I'm so happy to be there superhero.
Yeah.
And like Spider-Man was in the Avengers. I go, once again, that showed me right there. It's like that. The Justice League is not the Avengers. The Justice League is the Justice League, where if you look at the DC universe, not just maybe being pet peeve person of like that, these are the greatest heroes in the DC universe together.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like Flash was just as more or less mature as any of the other Justice League members.
Yeah.
And to make him look like he's just the kid fresh out of high school and nowhere near the amount of potential. Like even Cyborg, dude, who was supposed to be the youngest member of the Justice League, was more mature than Flash. And it's just like they were using him as comedy relief, like he was freaking Spider-Man. And I'm going, and the scenes too of the Flash, like Quicksilver and Flash are 2 different characters.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? But they completely copied the elements that the X-Men and the Avengers used of Quicksilver, of like, let's show you how everything moves so slow to them.
Okay.
And with the Flash, dude, you want to see how fast he moves, not how slow everything looks to him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because that's just a copycat of the Quicksilver idea.
Sure.
And I'm going, Flash is such a unique, he's the fastest man on the earth. I mean, Superman's from Krypton. He sometimes wins races, but that's because Superman is a cheat code.
Yeah.
You know, he's the DC cheat code to everything.
Absolutely.
But Flash, I wanted to see more, and that's probably just a personal preference. I wanted to know like how fast this man is and how, do you know what I mean? Like you want to see the blur. That's why I like the Flash TV series sometimes, because they do those great aspects of him racing through the city and all you see is rays of red and gold lights.
Yeah.
And that to me is like so freaking like Flash, like with the TV series did it better than Zack Snyder and the genius that he has always been. Just didn't catch the element of Flash at all.
Well, Zack Snyder, but I mean, who knew, at that point, you know, was it Zack Snyder's choice or was it Joss Whedon who did that?
Okay.
You know,
it's kind of like
because that was the movie he finished up, right?
Yeah, was it Josh? Oh, that's right, because Zack Snyder had to do something else that happened with family or something like that.
I think his son passed.
Josh
away.
Whedon, but wasn't the story script probably already written? I don't know who wrote the story. Is that Jeff Johns stuff writing that? Or?
You know, I don't know, but I mean, I know Joss Whedon. They had a fair amount of reshoots, so I mean.
Maybe
who
say
knows?
like, hey, let's do it this way rather than.
I mean, maybe because he's known for his jokes and stuff, right?
Okay. that makes sense then on that.
I mean, we definitely saw that in the first two Avengers movies.
And I don't mind jokes, but just the immaturity of the Flash.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think is what
totally
understand.
understand.
You could still make jokes like Tony Stark does it over and over again. You know, he's got a great sense of humor, but Tony Stark is life experienced. Where Barry, I said too, we got to treat this kid like Peter Parker. And I was going, well, I don't know. That's a different story, dude. That's the Avengers story.
Yeah.
You stick with your Justice League and make these guys the most dominant superheroes to ever walk the earth.
Yeah, it would have been more fun to see it like Cyborg coming out of the Teen Titans, maybe referencing the Teen Titans and going back and doing a Teen Titans maybe prequel movie. Maybe that would have been cool. I mean,
but Cyborg, I thought they did fine. I had no problem with Cyborg as a character in Justice League.
I mean, it's almost confusing to like the general audience though, because now you've got that Doom Patrol movie. I mean, TV show on the Disney on the DC show, and there's somebody else playing Cyborg.
Now, that's how like DC completely just the New 52 never even happened, type of attitude of it. Do you know what I mean? It's like the DC rebirth kind of. It's some people out there declare that the rebirth was just a way to say the New 52 was a failure. And I don't know how true that is. I think that's kind of a little bit of an exaggeration.
That sounds like, I mean, there were some great successes out of the New 52.
It was the best-selling era of DC Comics in years. But I think we talked a little bit last time. Like Batman went 5 printings, Justice League went 8 printings.
And that was the first time I bought a new DC book probably since I was a kid.
Yes, and so you could argue New 52 was one of the greatest successes of the DC universe.
Absolutely.
But in today's storytelling, they've kind of acknowledged, like I said too, Cyborg being part of the JLA. They switched up a lot of the different teams now. Yeah, so Cyborg's not even really part of the Justice League of America at all. I think if I remember correctly, he's part of the Justice League Odyssey team. And they broke up all those teams after Dark Knight's Metal and kind of made them into almost like, I want to say, Infinity Gauntlet type of Justice League teams. Gems like that. Okay, you have the science team, you have the brain team, you have the power team. And they kind of like, we got to stop whatever's coming through the rift that was created at the end of Dark Knight's Metal. And so they kind of divided up the Justice League into 4 different squads. Well, the mystical squad too, the magical, supernatural squad.
Yeah.
And they, Cyborg was broken into the Odyssey team.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if this has any reflections in some of their future movie ventures.
That's true. Now, sorry to go off the wheel about how Justice League was such a disappointment.
Well, no, but this is an important part of history of where the superhero movie is now, because just in the last 20 years, it's the evolution of the superhero movies.
Yes,
been really interesting to look at. Like I was saying, just from Blade to, and the before that we had those. It was Batman and Superman. There was no Marvel movies. Nobody remembers the old Captain America movie or or that David Hasselhoff Nick Fury movie. Did you ever see
Dolph Lundgren as the Punisher?
Dolph Lundgren as the Punisher.
Yeah, the Bill Bixby Hulk were big popular, but remember the movies they had, the TV movies with Thor?
Yeah, Thor, and there was one Daredevil. With Daredevil.
Yes, where they had the more like the vintage black mask, black costume Daredevil.
Yep.
From Frank Miller, John Romita Jr.'s. I think that was I wonder if Frank Miller, John Romita Jr. took that idea off of that TV show.
It predates it, doesn't it?
Yes, the TV show movie predates the comics. So I wonder if that's where Frank Miller, John Romita Jr. got the idea from. That.
Absolutely. And now it's a more canon type costume, and even the Netflix show. Yeah, they even did it, and it was fun.
Yes.
I wish there was a little less of it in season 3, because we had so much of that costume in season 1.
Yes.
It was just because, spoiler alert for season 3 of Daredevil. Bullseye's wearing Daredevil's costume like the whole time.
Yes. Let's go. What is happening here?
I guess I was expecting the costume to just get modified by Bullseye at some point, like saw the horns off and spray paint a bullseye thing, and because otherwise, what's the difference between Daredevil's Bullseye's costume? It'd just be the color, just do the horns, and that would have been a perfect Bullseye costume.
Yes, that would have been epic to see.
I was expecting it the whole time.
The Bullseye costume, and it never came.
Yeah, no,
and
me too.
Like that. It's going to be a couple of years, because I guess in 2020 is when Disney gets to start working on those shows again. Correct? Okay, because I guess like that the contract goes through the end of 2019, where Marvel can't release anything on the Disney Plus.
They already have deals with Netflix, so I think Captain Marvel is one of the last Marvel movies that has a contract to pop onto Netflix already.
And I've read that Jessica Jones is going to have one more season before it's all done on Netflix too, and that's the last of the Marvel TV shows on Netflix.
End of an era.
Yes, I know, that's kind of crazy to think about too. And I said I was glad reading on what I read about Disney Plus that that 2020 date is, that's an open date for Disney Plus to start showing Marvel TV shows again, even though it's like they're not, they're Netflix shows, but under Marvel production now finally.
Yeah.
And do they get to start production on those even though they're not aired? Or how does that work on things like that?
There's so many probably legal technicalities, I guess, we have to see.
Yeah, until that 2020 date. So I was wondering like that, okay, are they already working on production on it, or they have to wait till that production
They probably have to wait. And they've got so much going on right now. They want to focus on wrapping up Endgame and then starting...
Now there's a Vision and Scarlet Witch TV series coming. There's a Loki TV series coming on Disney Plus, and every episode of The Simpsons will be on Disney Plus.
Well, I think did they say that? I thought that was going to stay on Hulu because they have the market share on Hulu, and they just bought like another 15% from like AT&T, I think it was.
Oh wow!
So they own most of Hulu.
Yes, that's why I saw too. Hulu's going to have more or less the more mature programming of the Disney universe.
That's okay. I mean,
eventually, and so maybe we'll see those shows on Hulu rather than Disney Plus.
Disney Plus is already stacking up to be fantastic. They got some great content already in the works. Like one of the most exciting things for me is you see they're going to do a What If series based on the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Dude, I can't wait to see that because I guess Peggy Carter's going to be Captain America in the first episode. Yeah,
that's going to be the first episode. And that's so cool because I always loved the What If comics.
Oh, me too.
And they're always fun little stories. And to see that concept applied to this universe, I think is going to be so much fun. And in this format, just having it animated and just have the actors come in and do the voices, like no big deal. Easy.
Yes. I said too, on Japan, it's all animated, so it would be easy. Hey, let's have the voiceover stuff do it.
Yeah, cheap. And animation is so much cheaper than it used to be. That's going to be a very fun story, is seeing it, because they touched on some alternate reality in the comics with that, haven't they?
Yes,
I'm sure they have.
Yeah, they did like What If Infinity Gauntlets. They've done What Ifs for everything. It's pretty intense like that. I don't think there's like they started having What Ifs come out annually. Like usually they were doing What If months. And they would have a different issue come out every week for the month. And then eventually they more recently started doing little What If miniseries, like where they're 4-issue stories that have come out that have been off of modern stories, like What If Avengers versus X-Men.
Yeah.
They did recently. And gosh, dude, like What If House of M they've done recently over the years. And just little things that are more modern stories that Marvel have done, but let's put a different twist on it. And so I love them. Every time they do What Ifs, dude, just give me more.
Well, there's even What If, there's even concepts within them that have actually made it to not What If, to actually like reality. Like when they did What If Wolverine was Lord of the Vampires.
Yes.
The first time they drew Wolverine with fangs, and like, you know what? We kind of like that. All of a sudden, Wolverine has fangs in the comics, and it's not because he's a vampire, just because why not?
Yeah, like the one they did this past Christmas is What If Spider-Man became the Punisher.
Really? I missed that.
Yes, that was kind of interesting too. It was more or less.
How did that play out?
Oh gosh, dude. It was more or less same thing. Uncle Ben died, but he decided to become more of a Punisher type of character than Spider-Man.
Okay, so it was just a different way of dealing with it. That's fair.
And then at the end of the story, when Spider-Man realizes like this is just, do you know what I mean?
Was he still bitten by a spider?
Yeah.
Okay, but just became the
spider
Punisher.
Had a Punisher logo on it.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, yes,
that's
dude,
silly.
So absurd.
That's silly.
At the end of the movie, or at the end of the comic, it's like, Spider-Man No More type of thing they did. It's Spider-Man number 50 type of thing. Like he decided like, I just can't be this anymore. And he put the costume in the trash can.
The
and
Punisher
walks
costume.
up, Frank Castle walks up and takes the costume out of the trash can and becomes the real Punisher.
I'm going to do this.
Yeah. And so it's kind of an interesting little twist on it. They also did another one, like What If Flash Thompson became Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Because I'm a big Spider-Man fan, so I always thought those were fun to read. What were some of the other ones they had?
There was a What If Aunt May was Herald of Galactus?
Yes,
that's
that.
a classic.
Yeah, Marvel Team Up 137. 130s. I want to say 137.
I don't remember
which one it is though, but it's hilarious. And Franklin was her Herald. Remember that?
That's right. Well, I think that was a separate one.
That's right. Yeah, Aunt May. And wasn't Franklin?
There was an Aunt May. I don't know if that was separate or not, but like I know that both of those concepts have been touched on.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite ones, and I have it in the next room, is a What If Fantastic Four, and the Fantastic Four team was Ghost Rider, Wolverine, and I think it's it was the
Oh,
Hulk and
yes,
Spider-Man,
Spider-Man.
but it
Yes.
actually took place during the Infinity Gauntlet story.
Oh, really? Okay, I don't
Yes.
think I've read that. I know
It's
about.
pretty interesting. So, Thanos is messing stuff up, and of course, Mephisto is his right-hand man,
Yes.
and the four of them are losing, obviously, to Thanos. And Wolverine's like, hey, like, why do you have this mischievous, deceitful person like as your right-hand man? Like, what are you doing? He's going to betray you. And Thanos is like, oh my gosh, you're right. And he kills Mephisto.
Wow.
And Wolverine like just starts betraying the Fantastic Four, and everyone's getting really mad at him. And Wolverine just starts just being like this like little whisper in Thanos' ear. And I thought it was really out of character, and it is out of character for him, I think, to be that calculating, because all of a sudden he draws his claws and he cuts the gauntlet off of Thanos and they win.
Oh, dang, dude. It almost sounds like what's going on in Cosmic Ghost Rider
Really?
right now, too, is because like it was Thanos came for Earth,
Okay.
and Frank Castle was the last surviving human after Thanos obliterated everybody, every
Okay.
superhero on Earth. And Frank Castle's like, that, kill me. It's like, aren't you going to take me too? It's like that. No, you're insignificant. You're just a normal human. And so it was kind of where, oh my gosh, dude, Punisher was like so pissed at Thanos that he didn't, first of all, didn't think he was significant enough to, consider a threat. And he's kind of going like, so he's roaming the Earth as the last person. And then Galactus comes down. It's like, okay, time to eat Earth. And then Galactus more or less makes a deal and say, hey, dude, there's nothing left for you here. This planet's been depleted. Do you know what I mean? There's no benefit of eating a planet that is got such worthlessness. And then he goes, I would rather you make a deal with me and we go get the guy that did this to this planet. And so he convinces Galactus to make him a herald.
Okay.
He becomes the Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Okay. I didn't realize that's how that happened.
After Thanos. No, it's Mephisto. I'm sorry. Mephisto made the deal with him to get revenge. Then when Galactus came down.
Oh, he already had the power.
Yeah, he already had the power of the Cosmic
He just
Ghost
made him a
Rider.
herald.
Yeah, it's like he told him like the whole deal. It's like, hey, dude, you know what? There's nothing here. Do you know what I mean? It's like that. You can take this planet, but let me be at your side as a herald. And so Galactus and Cosmic Ghost Rider go to more or less Thanos. And then Frank Castle, Ghost Rider, makes a deal with Thanos to, hey, if you share your power with me, I'll share the cosmic power, and we could take out Galactus, and there's no threat anywhere to us in the universe. And so they together take out Galactus.
Oh my gosh.
And so I think what's going on here, it's all part of Frank Castle's plan to
punish
get
the universe.
revenge on Thanos.
Okay.
Yeah, for taking, punishing Thanos is his main objective this whole time.
Interesting.
And inside of a Infinity, I want to say Infinity, was this called Infinity that came out last year where Gamora killed Thanos?
I don't remember.
I want to say it was Infinity War, but that's too easy. But I think it was just called Infinity.
Okay.
And Gamora hid herself. So Thanos, I guess, didn't think who it would be. And she killed Thanos.
Huh.
And now Thanos does this whole funeral thing where Star Fox is kind of the MC, since Star Fox was Thanos' brother.
Yep.
And said, there's one final message from my brother. And he did this whole message. It's like, oh, by the way, you think I'm all dead, but I did a contingency plan. I hid myself in another person in the universe so I can live on forever. And so now the whole guessing game is like that. Who is the new Thanos?
Interesting.
And my theory is it's Frank Castle. And because Frank Castle got close to Thanos and says, hey, I got a contingency plan idea for you. If anyone ever gets close enough to kill you, transfer your essence into me. And whenever we want to do this plan, you need to take over. I'm making that sacrifice to you. And in Frank Castle's mind, kind of like you told about that Wolverine, is like that he's trying to set up Thanos because he knows his will is stronger than Thanos' will, because there's nothing that breaks the will of the Punisher. And so Cosmic Ghost Rider actually is the keeper of Thanos.
Interesting.
Yeah, so just the thought. I don't know if that's how Donny Cates is playing this out, because I don't think Cosmic Ghost Rider is designed to be a long-term character.
Yeah, it's probably not.
And then maybe at the end, if the only way that he knows like that he made this deal with Thanos, if he kills himself to save the rest of the universe, that's Frank Castle being the ultimate savior of the universe. And he gets one over on Thanos like he's always wanted. So who knows how it's going to end, but that's just my prediction about how they're going to tie up this whole Guardians of the Galaxy, Donny Cates Cosmic Ghost Rider story with Thanos in.
A lot going on in the Marvel universe
Yes.
right now, and definitely not anything they'll do in the movies anytime soon. That's for sure. But I am looking forward to
storytelling, though.
Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider actually
Yes.
playing a part in something somewhere.
Yeah, they'll bring him out.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they will. So before we wrap this up, Avengers Endgame is coming out this week. What do you want to see out of it?
Man, dude,
What is like the one hope or element that you're
wanna
just
see
really
at the end of
hoping?
Endgame.
Not even at the end, just
Okay,
just
like
playing
what do
into
you
the
hope out of
story.
it? Yes. There's things that I would love to see that I don't think are going to happen anymore.
Okay.
I hope they do. That would be amazing. We talked about this before outside of here, but the Fox Marvel thing's done.
Yeah,
I mean, is there going to be groundwork for the Fantastic Four or the X-Men? And I
That would
kind
be
of
awesome.
thought in the back of my head, a beautiful way to do it is like that, the Fantastic Four could have been there the whole time. It's just they're not needed. It's an Avengers story. But when Ant-Man gets stuck in the quantum realm with no way out, what's Reed Richards' favorite thing to do is explore the unexplored.
Mm-hmm.
And, finding ways to explore things that are not seen. Same thing with Nick Fury inside of Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Nick Fury had no clue there was anything in the rest of the universe. Earth was the only thing that he understood.
Yeah,
Reed Richards is kind of like the reverse of Captain Marvel. It's like that. I'm finding things that this world has no clue exists.
maybe he doesn't
And I'm
have
exploring.
powers at that point, and that's why we haven't seen him.
Yes, that's
And they can get powers in
the quantum. Yes,
just like Wasp did, right?
yes, absolutely. And that's where, Reed and Sue or Reed and Johnny or Reed and Ben or the whole Fantastic Four together
Mm-hmm.
are exploring the microverse and the quantum universe. And next thing you know is they see Scott Lang floating out there. Hey, over here. And it's like they get, sounds weird. It's like totally, Paul Rudd type of stupid comedy.
Uh-huh.
But it's like, oh my gosh, how do I get their attention? He's picking up things to throw at them or who knows. And then next thing you know is like Ant-Man has discovered the Fantastic Four by default.
Yeah.
And that's how he escapes the quantum realm is the Fantastic Four. Reed Richards knows his way back to reality.
That's a crazy theory, but man, like
Wouldn't that be epic?
that would be awesome. I would not be disappointed
and it
at
wouldn't
all.
destroy the story at all.
Absolutely
and
not.
it would fit in. It's like you're not ruining the whole Marvel universe by having the Fantastic Four discover Ant-Man,
And-
but then you have reinforcements that set up. How do we, another great mind is
It
Reed
gets
Richards.
it gets us one of the Illuminati into play just in time to potentially break up the Infinity Stones, right?
Yes, and that's a good point. And that's the thing too. What do you do with the stones after you do defeat Thanos?
Yeah.
Do you mean Reed's one of those guys? Same thing if you want to do with Professor X aspect of the Illuminati too, as well as Scarlet Witch is not a miracle; she's a mutant.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And that's the whole thing too. Is like now that they can use that word mutant again, the people found Scarlet Witch, Hydra thought she was something that they had no understanding.
Right now, it's just a miracle, but like they just didn't realize mutation was a thing.
And if Scarlet Witch, all of a sudden Professor X is out there now that he's part of the Marvel Universe, and Scarlet Witch is at risk, then the X-Men, Professor X is going to bring reinforcements with him too as well, because he saw the snap element of everything too, and 50% of all the mutants are gone too.
Yeah, no,
and
they
it's
are.
time for the mutants to come out of hiding because the world may not be ready, but people weren't ready for Captain Marvel to arrive on Earth either.
Could you imagine if like half of the movie had all of these characters?
Oh my gosh, dude. It's
that would be the biggest secret that they pulled off
in ages.
cinematic
And I think it is
history.
too large, but it's possible
We
to
can
see
dream,
happen.
right?
Yes.
It's okay. I asked
And
what
I
you
would-
wanted
oh my
as your
gosh,
biggest
dude.
want.
that would be to me mind blowing of like that. Okay. It's like Thanos did not plan for this. He planned for what he knew.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like that. Is that enough power with the mutants and the Fantastic Four and laying the groundwork for what Marvel has coming in the future? Can that happen in one movie?
Or is it just strictly wrapping stuff up? I mean, I guess that will remain to be seen until the end of the week. What I want, I think, is much more, a little more humble. Like I would love to see death, even if Thanos gets killed at the end. Like I don't know how they're going to resolve this, but even if it's just her taking him or something like that, would be I would just be excited to see death just involved and existing in the MCU.
Yes.
Other than that,
That would make Thanos happy too,
right. It would,
because he
right?
loves death.
I want Nebula to take the gauntlet, just like in the comics.
Yes.
Sure. You mean on paper, like maybe that sounds stupid, but if you think about it, Nebula's had all these story arcs where like Nebula could never live up to Thanos' expectations, and she wanted to kill him. Even though she did love her sister, she just felt the conflict, but that got resolved in the second Guardians. So she got that hug, so that story arc came to a close, and she still wants to kill her father, Thanos. Like, we've been setting this up this whole time, like that's how it's going to resolve. She's going to take the gauntlet and die. That's what I think, and that's what I hope. But I mean, we'll see.
That would be awesome. I said too, it's like that. I just want to be totally and thoroughly entertained and like, wow, satisfied with what we see out of this. And then I said too, they haven't let down yet. Even the Ed Norton Hulk, I had no problem with that. It stinks that Ed Norton had to go away because of his political views.
Yeah.
But then, oh my gosh,
Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo has done an amazing job taking over as the Hulk. And I had no problem thinking like, oh, this is two totally different actors in the same franchise.
Yeah.
And that gives me hope too for the future. If, like, say for instance, Captain America, Chris Evans doesn't want to be Captain America anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That you don't have to more or less get a whole new person be Captain America, maybe just a whole new actor to be Captain America.
I think one way of looking at it is in the comics, like the artists change.
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect
example. I mean, John Byrne is not Jack Kirby, but people didn't stop reading Captain America because Jack Kirby wasn't drawing Captain America.
As long as they have a nice run, just like the James Bond actors, I'm like why can't we keep the characters going? I think it'll be okay as long as they're within whole sections and big story arcs, like wrapping up what's now called the Infinity Saga. Yes. If going forward, different people are playing them because, quote, the artists change, in the comics, why not? It might be fun.
Yeah, as long as the script stays the same. I mean, too, the story is the underlying thing of everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so too, you're right. It's like comic books, even though it's art-driven medium, the story is what progresses. And as long as it stays within line of what the story's been, people can adapt to that. And we saw it, I said too, perfectly with Ed Norton. Mark Ruffalo didn't miss a beat.
Yep.
People say now they like Mark Ruffalo better than Ed Norton, and Ed Norton did a pretty good job on that Hulk story.
I think I still prefer Edward Norton, but there's nothing wrong with him. It's all good.
Yes, and it's like Ed Norton's an amazing actor.
Yeah.
And that's part of that too, and everybody knows Ed Norton, and that's part of maybe why Mark Ruffalo works so good too, is that he wasn't such a high profile actor, but he nailed Bean Banner really well. Yeah.
So I think this is about all the time we have today. But before we go, we talked about Ken owning Drawn to Comics before, and in about almost 2 weeks.
Yes, May 4th. The May the 4th be with you day too as well. Star Wars Day and Free Comic Book Day.
Yes, we're really looking forward to that.
The world of pop culture is going to be everywhere for you. Just anywhere, if you love Star Wars, you love comic books, you love sci-fi, you love book reading, anything that's like pop culture or hobby related with science fiction or comic books, you got to go out to a comic shop near you or to any place that's supporting Star Wars. I hear, like, obviously our shop Drawn to Comics in Glendale, plug 5801 West Glendale Avenue in Glendale, Arizona. We'll be doing something with the Thelma Teague Library, Library actually, and we are doing a little mini show. It's kind of interesting how this is starting to grow into a premier Free Comic Book Day event around the country, which is pretty epic. And I don't want to, chip shoulder type of thing, but we're pretty excited about what's built over the years and how the community supported us in Free Comic Book Day. And it's going to be a downtown Glendale thing. A lot of different shops are doing things. Triforce Collectibles, which is located right behind Subway, which is right across the street from us. They will be doing a Star Wars toy show, which will be a lot of fun. And there is the Papa Ed's Ice Cream. We'll be doing Superman ice cream again, which is always a blast. And there is just all the different restaurants down there will be doing specials. And I kind of introduced at the coffee shop. I said, hey, why don't you do a Dark Knight Mocha? And that's kind of fun too as well. It's just a dark chocolate mocha, which is, kind of fun to do. Absolutely. And anything that businesses in the area can tie into, comics or Star Wars in your own area of the country or world, do so, because it's a fun day, especially with two different cultures or two different major pop culture things of Star Wars and comic books. They fit together like, peanut butter and jelly do, and it's awesome.
That's why we do the podcast about all things pop culture. But anyone in Arizona, especially the Phoenix metro area, the Drawn to Comics Free Comic Book Day is a lot of fun. I recently became a member of the 501st Legion, costuming charity group. I will be doing my first troop at this event, so we will both be there, and so the 501st will be there. So I know we've got some TIE pilots, Mara Jade, and we'll see who else signs up. But it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I'm
11
really
a.m. to
looking
5
forward to it.
p.m. on Saturday, May 4th.
Perfect. Well, we thank you all for listening. We had a fantastic first episode. Appreciate all of your support. And next week, we're going to be talking about Avengers Endgame. So it'll be full of spoilers. So do not listen to episode 3 until you see Endgame. But don't forget to like and subscribe. Tune in next Tuesday. And thank you for listening.
Thank you.